Welcome, everybody. If you're one of those focused learners trying to cut through all the online noise to figure out exactly how wealth is built from the ground up, well, you are absolutely in the right place. In today's Explainer, we're unpacking a fascinating piece of history that honestly is incredibly relevant to us right now. We're diving into F.C. Minaker's timeless wealth-building principles. And get this, these were originally published during one of the toughest economic times in modern history. So let's forget all the fluff. We are going to build a direct, totally actionable blueprint that you can start using literally today.
Okay, I want to kick things off by throwing a completely hypothetical, but honestly very real-feeling scenario your way. Let's say you had to earn 1 lakh rupees in the next 30 days. But here's the catch. You can't rely on a salary, and you absolutely cannot take out a loan. What exactly would you do? Take a second and really think about it. I know for most of us, the immediate knee-jerk reaction is just, well, that's impossible. But you know what? That reaction comes from a very specific mindset. And that is exactly the mindset we're going to completely deconstruct today.
And this right here perfectly illustrates why context matters so much. Think back to the 1930s. The entire world was totally gripped by the Great Depression. I mean, people literally didn't have money for basic food, let alone capital to start a business. It was right in the middle of that extreme financial crisis that Minsteker wrote a book called 1,000 Ways to Make $1,000. The crazy part? The strategies developed in that era of absolute scarcity are the exact same fundamental mechanics that powered the launch of massive companies, like Redbus back in 2006. And they are the exact same strategies driving the modern startups we see today. It just proves that generating income in really tough times comes down to timeless structural strategies. So it all comes down to a really bold claim Menaracher made, and honestly, it still rings 100% true today. Making money is not a game of luck. It's a game of skill. And the absolute best thing about any skill, you can learn it. What's super fascinating about our source material today is that these techniques, they weren't written for trust fund kids or elite Ivy League graduates. Nope, they were written specifically for the middle class, for everyday people who just need a solid push in the right direction.
To make all this super easy to digest, we're going to break Minaker's 6 techniques down into 3 logical phases. Phase 1 is discovery and validation. Phase 2 is efficiency and stability. And phase 3 is value and scale. Let's get right into it.
Starting off with phase 1, discovery and validation. All right, technique number 1 is realizing that every single problem you see is actually a hidden business opportunity. The golden rule here is pretty simple. Where there's a problem, there's a business. And where there's a business, well, there's money. Now, when most of us encounter a problem, our first instinct, the wrong approach, is to just complain about it, right? We vent on social media, we complain to our friends. But the smart approach, the right approach, is to look at it and ask, okay, who wants this fixed? And will they actually pay me to fix it? Think about the elderly folks living in your neighborhood. A lot of them really struggle with modern smartphones. Their kids live far away, and they end up feeling super isolated just because they can't figure out WhatsApp or video calling. Now, complaining says, why don't they just learn? But the entrepreneurial mindset, it says, hey, this is a real problem. What if I went to 10 houses, spent just 2 hours a week teaching them how to use UPI and make video calls, and charged 500 rupees a month per house? Boom. You've instantly created a 5,000 rupee income stream with literally zero financial investment. And hey, if you're sitting there thinking that solving everyday annoyances only leads to pocket change, let me hit you with a number. 800 crore rupees. That is exactly what Phanindra Sama sold his company Redbus for back in 2013. And how did he even start? Well, in the mid-2000s, he was just a guy who couldn't get a bus ticket home for Diwali. But instead of just whining about the totally disorganized bus booking system like everyone else was doing, he realized, wait a minute, this is a massive problem and millions of people want it fixed. He started super small, solved that one specific problem, and eventually scaled it into an 800 crore empire. You really don't need to invent the next big thing. You just need to open your eyes to what people are missing. Okay, so once you spot that opportunity, we move to technique number 2, sell before you build. Now, I know this goes against basically everything traditional schooling teaches us. Usually, people think you have to spend 6 months perfecting a product, buying all the fancy equipment, and then you launch, only to hear absolute crickets. You lose time, energy, and a ton of money. But Min of Shanger said back in the 30s, and it is just as true today, you've got to ask first. Let's say you want to start a daily tiffin or meal delivery service. Do not go out and build a commercial kitchen first. Instead, message 10 of your neighbors. Just say, hey, if I deliver fresh, home-cooked food to your door every day for 100 rupees, would you subscribe? If 5 of them say yes, huge congratulations, you have just validated your business. Then you go build the kitchen.
By the way, this is exactly, and I mean exactly, what modern tech startups are doing when they put up those waitlists and early access signups. Moving right along, we hit phase 2, efficiency and stability. This brings us to technique number 3. Now, this might sound a little philosophical at first, but trust me, it is deeply practical. You need to sell your expertise, not your time. See, when you work a standard 9 to 5, you're literally just trading your hours for dollars. And since you only have 24 hours in a day, there is a hard, totally unbreakable ceiling on how much you can earn. But the second you start selling expertise, that limit just completely vanishes. Let me give you an example. A salaried chartered accountant might make, say, 50,000 rupees a month working full-time for one single boss. But what if they became a freelance CA? They could offer part-time, really high-level accounting advice to 5 different small businesses and charge each of them 10,000 rupees. They end up making the exact same amount of money, but with a fraction of the time commitment. And that frees them up to scale their income limitlessly. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's great, but I don't have a fancy degree like accounting. But actually, you probably do have an expertise. Think about all the highly accessible modern skills out there right now. Are you the person who's naturally good at organizing messy data in Excel? Can you whip up a decent-looking graphic in Canva? Do you know how to edit a catchy reel for Instagram? Or maybe you're just really good at writing prompts for AI tools. Seriously, there is a massive market of people and small businesses out there who have absolutely zero clue how to do things that you consider totally basic. You just need to package what you naturally know how to do and sell that specific expertise. Okay, so once you're actually selling that expertise, you absolutely need technique number 4, the magic of repeat business. I'm telling you, this is easily the most underrated principle we're covering today. It comes down to a fundamental truth of business. The energy and the cost it takes to find a brand new customer is drastically higher. We're talking often 5 times higher than the energy it takes to just retain someone who's already bought from you. And yet, people constantly burn themselves out chasing down new leads while totally ignoring the people who are already sitting right there in their network. Let's ground this with a couple of everyday examples, because it's super relatable. Think about a house painter. The average painter finishes up the job, takes their cash, and basically disappears off the face of the earth. But the smart painter, they call that exact same client 6 months later, maybe right after monsoon season, and they say, hey, I know walls often get a bit damp after the heavy rains. Can I swing by for a quick free checkup? That proactive care, it basically guarantees they get the repair job. Or think about your local barber. If a barber has 50 loyal regular customers who come in every single month without fail, they have a completely stable, predictable income. They don't wake up stressing out about where their next client is coming from. Focusing on retention over acquisition is literally the backbone of building a stress-free business. All right, that brings us to our final section, phase 3, value and scale. Technique number 5 is simple, but man, is it powerful. Start small, but plan big. 5 lakh rupees. That actually represents the monthly income of a home baker detailed in our source material. But listen, she definitely did not start out making 5 lakhs. She didn't kick things off by renting out some massive commercial kitchen or hiring a huge staff or taking out a terrifyingly large bank loan. She literally started by baking one single cake for a friend. Then she set up a simple Instagram page. Then she took a few more orders. Step by step, she organically scaled up until she was handling massive corporate orders. It's like how McDonald's started as just one single roadside stall. If you obsess over having the perfect, massive final setup on day 1, you are going to be totally paralyzed. Just take that very first small step, but always keep that big, ambitious vision in the back of your mind. And finally, we arrive at technique number 6. And honestly, this is arguably the most powerful one of the bunch. Create value, and you will never ever have to beg for your price. Look at an average freelance video editor. They take the raw footage, they cut it, they deliver the final file, and then they ask to be paid. Sure, they did the job, but they are completely replaceable. Now, look at a value creator. They edit the video, but then they go the extra mile. They say, hey, I noticed this one part of the video is really engaging, so I actually went ahead and mocked up a custom thumbnail for you. Also, I really think this reel would perform way better if we cut it down to 15 seconds instead of 30. Oh, and here's a list of tags you should definitely use. See the difference? The value creator doesn't just blindly follow orders and check off a task. They proactively make their client's life easier and their business way more successful. It doesn't matter if you're a freelancer or a full-time employee, if you focus on adding absolutely undeniable value, I promise you, the money will naturally follow. As we start to wrap up this explainer, Miniker's core philosophy can really be boiled down to one simple, hard-hitting truth. A lack of money is actually a lack of action, not a lack of ideas. Think about it. When the entire global economy was literally collapsing in the 1930s, most people thought everything was just completely hopeless. But there were 1,000 ways to make money back then, and there are 1,000 ways right now.
The challenges you're facing today, whether it's a low income, feeling like you lack direction, or just general economic anxiety, those are very real. I'm not downplaying that. But the actual barrier stopping you isn't a lack of opportunity. The barrier is sitting around waiting for the perfect time to start. Because spoiler alert, the perfect time simply doesn't exist. So I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative question. We've just walked through 6 completely timeless, proven techniques that require basically zero initial investment. All they take is skill, a bit of observation, and some real effort. You've got the blueprint right in front of you. You have the ideas. So which one are you actually going to take action on today? Seriously, do not just let this be another explainer you watched, nodded along to, and then completely forgot by tomorrow. Pick just one thing, start small, and prove to yourself that wealth is a skill you can totally master. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and hey, keep building.